I have a $5 million RV park. I'm in the deal, no money. I pay the seller 20 grand a month, but the park brings in 60,000 a month. So after management, utilities, the payment to the seller every month, my net is about $25,000 a month.
Pace Morby is one of the world's most influential real estate educators. He's built a $400 million portfolio without using banks, credit, or even his own money.
Trusted by over 30,000 students in 29 countries, he's leading a global movement that's helping everyday people build generational wealth through creative finance.
The average American will retire with about $360,000 in their retirement account. $360,000. That's nothing. You buy one house and sit on it for 5, 10, 15 years, you'll end up having. This is a wonderful way for people to become financially free within literally like 12 months.
For the person watching this, listening to this, that is like, okay, I'm committed. I want to make my wealth in real estate. Can you lay it out for us, the blueprint?
Let's get into like really basics. Let's say
Pace, welcome to the podcast. Grant Cardone has said that you're the guy that can turn any real estate deal into gold, which is big coming from one of the biggest real estate guys here in the States. For those that are tuning in that don't know you yet, what do they need to know about you that's going to make them pay attention to this conversation?
we don't go through banks like Grant does. We don't use credit like Grant does. I don't even need a social security number like Grant does. I don't need to show my tax returns like Grant does. And I don't need to use any money like Grant does. And so as I explain those things to Grant on his show, and I've been friends with Grant for years, Grant, I think 3 years after knowing me, didn't even realize that that's what I did. And so when I was on his show, he was like, you have got to be joking me. I've been doing it wrong the whole time. So we do things very different than Grant. Grant's big and has thousands of investors. Think about the skill you have to acquire to get thousands of people to invest in your deal. We go buy stuff without a bank, without cash, without credit. We don't need anybody to invest in our deals. I don't need to borrow money from anybody. It's very simple.
So I'm really keen on this because I even spent a few hours with you the other day and I'm still trying to understand it. So hopefully these people can understand it here. And you also run one of the top like property and real estate education programs, communities in the world as well, which we can talk about. But you've built a $500 million property portfolio.
Yeah.
So not only have you done that, but you've done it using these unique finance options, everything you just sort of mentioned. So when I was reading this, I literally just wrote here, I have one question. How?
Yeah, how? Okay, so let's get into like really basics. Let's say I've got an iPhone and I want to go buy an iPhone from somebody. I could go up to you and I could say, hey, Morgan, you got an iPhone, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think your iPhone, if I sold it right now today, what could I sell it for?
$1,500.
Okay. So let's say $1,500 or $2,000. I could also go to you and say, hey, you want to sell your phone? I see it on Craigslist for 3 weeks and you haven't been able to sell it. How about I give you $2,000, but I make you a $100 payment every single month for 20 months. That also equals $2,000. So you, the seller, are financing me, letting me make payments to you over time. I take that phone and I go make way more money with it than what my $100 payment is. It's the same thing with multifamily properties, RV parks, mobile home parks, single family homes. I go to sellers who are trying to retire. Their kids are spoiled, typically. They made so much money that their kids do not want the portfolio. And so we go to the sellers and say, I'd like to take that property off your hands, let you retire, and I'll make you a monthly payment for the next whatever amount of years. So I'll give you a good example of one we just closed. I have a $5 million RV park. I'm in the deal, no money. I pay the seller 20 grand a month, but the park brings in 60,000 a month. So after management, utilities, the payment to the seller every month, my net is about $25,000 a month. I'm no money, no credit, no bank, no tax returns, $0 in the deal, and I just let the seller retire. Now, why would the seller do that? Why wouldn't they just sell it on the open market? Well, in America, if I'm a seller and I sell on the open market and I receive $5 million cash for that property, the government's going to take $2 million in taxes.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So you, as a real estate investor, it's called capital gains here locally. And you're not working really for yourself and your portfolio and your retirement. You're working for Uncle Sam. But when you sell it to me through seller finance or creative finance, which is our strategies, it helps the seller avoid all the capital gains tax. They get all $5 million. They just have to be a little bit more patient for it. So think about a retiree, somebody that's retiring. Do they need all $5 million to retire? Or they just need $20,000 a month? So what we're doing is that's on small properties. That's on properties that are the biggest deal I've done is $120 million where the seller says, take over the property. I just want to retire.
Is this commercial properties?
Commercial all the way down to single family. So I have 300 single family. So that's like, family size homes all the way up to my largest asset is 587 units in Houston, Texas. I bought for $110 million, no money.
Okay. So then aren't they paying tax on 20K that's coming through?
Okay. So
your income tax.
they're paying. So this is what's great is they're receiving money over time, which allows them to use their, let's say they have write-offs that year.
Okay.
They can use their write-offs that year to wipe out the income from those payments that year. But if I give a seller $5 million cash, how is he going to write that all off in 1 year? He can't. But you allow them to spread it out over time, right? 5 years, 7 years. The typical amount of time we will hold a property. I'll give you a good example. So 5 years ago, I buy a home just right down the road. Seller lets me take, so that's seller finance. Okay. So let's go to seller finance for a second. What I just explained to you was seller finance. What if somebody has a payment on their phone, right? There's people that have like a payment with AT&T or Sprint or whoever, they have a payment. Another strategy we have is we go to sellers and we say, I'd like to just take over your payments. Sometimes they have rates with the bank at like 1.9% or 2.5% or 3.5%. So 5 years ago, I bought a house from a seller. I turned it into an Airbnb, so it was bringing in $6,000 a month. And the payment I took over was $1,900. So I've got a small amount, like $3,000 a month I'm making in cash flow, right? I have more money coming in than what I'm paying to the payment. I bought it for $375,000, and I just sold it a couple of months ago for nearly $800,000 5 years later. Okay. So I sell it. If I sold that and I received all the money, I would have paid the taxes. But what did I do? And do you guys have 1031s in Australia? Things are different there, right?
What's 10 like? What?
It allows me to take my profit and roll it into another deal.
Okay.
Without paying any taxes. Yeah. So I receive my equity.
But if you buy for $1 million, now it's worth $1.5 million. You have 500K in equity. You can roll it into another property
Without paying taxes.
Correct. As much done well, pretty sure.
Yeah. So in America, it's called a 1031 exchange. So what's cool is that's one way to avoid taxes, but another way to avoid taxes is the sellers just take these payments over time and they can do the write-offs throughout the year and avoid all their taxes completely. And so what happens is the sellers make way more money. We get into the deal without any credit check, without any credentials. I think I've got even Patrick right here. You guys bought a Zero Downs RV park recently, right? So like it doesn't matter. He's from Canada. You can do it from Canada into America. You can do it from Israel into America, Australians.
Human to human contract, I think.
It's a human to human contract. Yeah. It's the way it was always done before all these title companies and these law firms got involved. It was always done this way.
But then let's say me as an Australian, if I come in and I did that, the cash that I'm getting from this now probably it's hitting a US bank.
Yep.
It's got to be.
So let's say you're doing it virtually, right? You're in Australia. Yeah. You buy a property here. You will have to pay taxes on your income in two different places. Yeah. You'll pay U.S. income tax and you'll pay an Australian income tax, which is fine. I mean, think about it. If you bought a house and you just took over payments, you turn it into an Airbnb and you're making $3,000 a month and you got to pay $600 a month in taxes, what do you care?
Just another business.
Just another business, right? And what I look at is for most people, if you read like the average American will retire with about $360,000 in their retirement account. $360,000. That's nothing. Nothing. You buy one house and sit on it for 5, 10, 15 years, you'll end up having $400,000 or $500,000 in equity on one house. So if you can buy these houses without any money, without any credit, without any down payments, this is a wonderful way not only for people to get retirement, but it's a wonderful way for people to become financially free within literally like 12 months.
This is wild. So give us the examples. What are you doing with public? Because I know they're both doing this already. Okay, well, you just got the house, but how are you making it make so much money? So you've just using now to turn into Airbnbs. Yeah, sometimes. What else are we doing to create this cash flow? Like, are you flipping them? Are you?
Great question.
What's happening?
Okay, so if I get a really good deal, meaning I just bought one a couple of days ago. Sometimes people will bring me deals where they say, hey, the house is worth $800,000 fixed up, but I got it for $300,000. Well, I'm not going to buy that and hold that. There's 500,000 in possible equity. So what I'll do is I'll buy it for 300. I'll add $150,000 in renovations, and then I go sell it for 800. So I will flip from time to time. But let's just talk about the deals that we hold. How do I make more money than what my payment cost me, right? The best thing right now, the biggest challenge, I imagine this is the same way in Australia too. Your guys' number one problem is probably affordability, right?
Yeah.
Like people can't afford rent. Everything's getting expensive. Okay, America, that's the number one issue. So what we're doing in America, there's something called co-living. Okay, co-living is essentially taking a regular single-family home and renting it out by the room, kind of like a college door. Like people will go buy a house right by a college and they rent it out per student.
Yep.
And they're renting it out by the room. That's become now commercialized in America to the point where there's like billion-dollar companies doing that. They're buying up single-family homes and they're essentially turning them into rent by the room. And it's called co-living. So essentially, let's say I take a 3-bed, 2-bath house, a regular 3-bed, 2-bath house, and I could rent it normal rent, $2,500 to a family. I could take that same house and put it into a co-living model, and I can bring in $7,000 a month. So a lot of investors are providing affordable housing into America by getting these houses with no money down, no credit, no nothing, and then they go and put them into co-living, and they're making $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. That's what these two do right here. Okay, that's what they focus on.
I love it. Keep going.
Yeah, so co-living is a really big one. Midterm rentals is really big too. Have you heard of? Okay, so this is interesting. I wonder if you guys do this in Australia. Let's say a homeowner. I buy a house, I furnish it, it's nice and new. I put no money down, no credit, got a good rate on it. I can go to an insurance company and say, hey, if you have somebody anywhere in this vicinity that has a flood or a problem with their house and you have to put them up in a house, I've got a furnished rental for you. So the insurance company will typically rent that house from you for double or triple because they can't put that person in a hotel.
Yeah.
They're repairing the drywall. They're repairing the hot water heater. They're repairing whatever happened in that house. So they put them in that property right there and they pay you double or triple monthly. So midterm rental is another big one as well.
Wow. So the first thing I'm thinking of is I'm like, who with your strategy would you be pissing off the most? The bankers.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, they've already made their money.
Okay.
Right? Bankers so the person who gives you a loan in America is called a loan officer. They make all their money on the front end. They get their fees up front. Now the bank, what do banks want?
Interest.
They want interest.
Yeah.
So if I'm making the payment, aren't they still getting the interest?
But I guess I guess you'd be poaching it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So banks aren't upset about it.
Yeah.
I think the people that do get upset, rightfully so, is when somebody does a co-living model, like rent by the room in a really nice neighborhood.
Okay. Yeah. Is there any, because I know Airbnb, there's some place you can't Airbnb.
So many places. Airbnb, I was really big in Airbnb like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And I've almost gotten all the way out of it.
Okay.
Because you look at Marriott, Marriott, they're everywhere. They're in Australia too. Marriott and a couple of other companies came together and spent billions of dollars lobbying against Airbnb. So like Atlanta, Georgia, Las Vegas, Nevada, Airbnb is outlawed. Like think about
you can't Airbnb in
no,
there.
you got to be licensed and you can only have one. You have to live in the property and rent out by the room.
Oh shit. Okay.
There's a lot of that going on in Scottsdale too. So right here where we're at, you have so many limitations. And so Airbnb is really only becoming a place where if there's no HOA, you guys don't have HOAs. You guys call them associations or something like that?
I don't know what it is.
It's like a governing body over a neighborhood.
Okay. Yeah, I would call that like a I can't body corporate. So it depends. So it's not every neighborhood would have it. Depends if you live in an apartment building but yeah, the nicer neighborhoods definitely have body corporates.
Okay, so we call those HOAs, homeowners associations. So if you have those, which are everywhere in America, they are not allowing Airbnbs anymore. They're cracking down. The hotels are spending a lot of money to make sure that Airbnb dies. I think Airbnb is thriving. You just have to go buy properties in really nice areas like Yosemite National Park, Glacier National Park, etc. So anyway, there's a lot of different things you can do with the properties. I used to do assisted living as well. So taking people that need to have a bed and a nurse full time all throughout the day. And I'd have 10 beds in a house. But I got sick and tired of people calling and saying, hey, Martha died or so-and-so died. And so I got out of that business 4 years ago. And I just figured out what are the most simple ways for me to make money where money just keeps coming in and I forget that I even own the property. I would say the ones that are the easiest now for me after all the years of me doing it, RV parks are my favorite.
Okay.
Mobile home parks and apartment buildings. There's almost no management, and the management that you do have lives on site. So I don't have to go there. My team doesn't have to go there. We usually pay somebody free. We give them free rent to manage the whole property, and you don't have to mess around with all the stuff. But when you're buying all these houses, it's good in the beginning, but you outgrow that after about a year or two of, you get a dozen of them, you're making 30 or 40,000 bucks a month. You go, okay, it's time for me to upgrade to bigger stuff.
You know what I found very, very interesting? That 97.8% of you that listen and view this podcast haven't yet subscribed. Now, if you're looking for the one way that you can actually help us build this show into something that's going to be absolutely incredible and life-changing for you, the one thing you can do is to hit that subscribe button, because it takes a lot of time, effort, and money that we put into this podcast to make it what it is. And we've made it very clear that we never want to run ads or sponsors or anything like that on this show. So the only way that we can actually grow this channel is by subscribers. And I promise to you that if you hit that subscribe button and you help this show grow, then I'm going to continually keep bringing more, bigger, and better guests to teach you the skill set and the mindset that you wish you learned earlier in life. So please, it'll mean the world to me if you hit that subscribe button. Go ahead and do that right now. Now let's get into this episode.
I want to play the skeptic for the people that are watching this that might be scared. So isn't there some sort of risk, I guess probably not for you, but let's say the person's selling their property. You're just doing a deal with some random guy who came knocking on the door. How can they be protected? Like, let's say like someone listening to this going like, shit, I'd like to sell my property to Pace, but I don't even know this guy. So what's stopping you, I guess, just from running away?
Okay,
Stopping your payments.
12 years ago when I first started, that was such a great question. And the reason being is because it wasn't like common knowledge. What we have done, my community, about 30,000 people strong, we've intentionally educated not just our industry, we've educated the entire country. So now you can, like as a seller, our sellers now know this is an option. So if you go to like a website, like there's a dozen websites, as a seller, you can just go sell your house on owner finance or seller finance right now. They're readily doing it. Why? The answer is, risk question. Do I want to sell my RV park for $5 million
and pay taxes on it
and really only get 3? Or would I rather sell my RV park for $5 million in a much shorter time frame and over time get my $5 million plus maybe some interest on top of it? Am I okay with that? Is that my goal? If that's my goal, then I'm okay with the risk. There is risk. Okay. What's the risk? Let's say I bought an RV park last year and I die. And now nobody's there to manage it. What happens? What happens to the seller? Well, the seller has to come back in and take over that RV park, right? That's
under the contract.
That's in the contract.
So if you did die, the contract is they can actually step back in with the ownership.
Correct. And any payments I made to them over time, they keep it all.
Okay.
The property goes right back to them. They could either resell it or keep the property. So they're fully protected by the property, which is really nice. But it's a pain in the ass. So there is a situation where you'd look at that and go, you know what? Like, let's look at my property. I'll give you a good example. You saw my farm, right? On Instagram? Okay. I've got a Montana farm. I bought it for $1 down payment, $3.7 million.
Why a dollar?
Great question. So here's what happened. So summer in Arizona is hot.
Okay.
Like really hot. 120, 125 degrees here. For you, are you guys Celsius?
Yeah. So it's like above 40. It's probably like 45, 38, something. It's horrible.
It's horrible.
It's dry.
It's really, it's not.
Like a nice sauna.
I don't mind it. But in the summertime, you want to get out. So the last 5 years, we've been going to Montana.
Yeah.
And I go, all right, I'm going to start building a second life in Montana. So I bought RV parks there on seller finance. I bought other rentals. I bought a little business up there. And so now in the summertime, my kids get to work the farm. They get to play with bees. They get to be with the cows and all the fun things. And I go, I need to buy a house up here. So I started looking for this house. And I was just looking online for seller finance stuff, calling sellers, calling whatever. And I get a call from a real estate agent saying, hey, I've got a guy that wants to sell his property. And he's in kind of a bind. I go, okay, well, what's going on? She says it's 20 acres, 8,000 square foot house. The house is brand new. It's a year old. Barely. Who's been to my house here? Almost everybody's been here. So, almost a brand new house. and he has to move out of the house. Okay. I've been in the business long enough to know that every single deal I do always has a story. Okay. What's the story?
What do they call it? In Australia, they call it, I think, the 3Ds. Is that a thing? Have you heard of that?
Tell me.
Looking for, I can remember the first, let's see if it comes out, looking for either a death,
No. Okay.
all right, where they've got to sell, a divorce, or distress.
Oh, yeah.
So finding someone who's
The
got
3Ds still always, yeah. Distress is his situation.
Yeah.
So he built the house, and he built it to sell it. He was just like a speculator, right? He goes, oh my gosh, buy the acreage, build this amazing house, go sell it to somebody who wants to move in here. Well, guess what happened? He gets a really good rate on it, like 2.9% rate on when he bought it. Really good rate.
It's crazy.
And then he goes to sell it in 2023. What was our rates in 2023? 7%. So what happens is no buyer could afford the $3.7 million he needed for the house. So he's sitting there going, I'm stuck. He needed to sell that house. Why? Why couldn't he just stay in the house? Well,
Couldn't afford the extra interest.
no. He's a really well off guy. Usually sellers that are like $3-4 million sales price, they're really well off. He built another house simultaneously that he was trying to sell as well. And he couldn't sell that one either. And in order for him to refinance out of the really high interest rate, so when you're building a house, you get a builder's loan. And a builder's loan is really high interest, like 16%. So this other house he's building over here has 16%. And he goes, I got to refinance out of that bad loan. What does he have to do to refinance out of that bad loan? He has to move into the house. So he was being forced to move out of the house he was in, to move in here so that it's his primary home.
Right.
And he goes, I need to sell this one, but nobody can afford the 3.7. I go, I can afford the 3.7 as long as you give me the 2.9% rate you have. And he goes, oh my gosh, it'd be amazing. That'd save my whole thing. I go, okay, great. I'll buy it for the 3.7. I want the 2.9% rate you have. And he goes, okay, well, what's our down payment? I go, nothing. I'm paying you what you want. I'm not going to give you a big down payment. Are you crazy? And he goes, okay, I don't think my attorney will like that. I go, well, let's talk to your attorney. So his attorney comes back and he goes, well, you know what? This is all legal. It's all good, but I really don't feel comfortable that you don't have a down payment. I was okay. Well, why don't we just do $1? And he says, oh, all right, fine. Let's do $1. So what's cool is I never gave the guy the dollar. I just took over the property. The seller's name is Bob. So I went to Bob like a couple months ago and I go, hey, can I print out $1 and like frame it out in the house and like say this was the dollar you were supposed to get? He's like, no. So anyway, I took that house over, the 2.9% interest. That guy was in a bad situation. He had to get out of that house and he couldn't sell it for what he needed. He needed to get the 3.7 million, but if he had it on the market, and because of the high interest rates, nobody could afford it. But I got 2.9, so of course I can afford it, right? So that's the beautiful thing about what we get to do is that right now, if I'm a family in Arizona or anywhere in the country, I go to a bank right now, I have to use my credit, a down payment, I have to have a W-2 income. What interest rate is the bank going to give me right now if I'm a homeowner trying to buy a house? 7%. We, in our community, we just find the people with distress and go, hey, I see you have a 2.5% interest rate or a 3.1 interest rate. Can I just take over the rate? We're bypassing the Fed. We're bypassing the banks. We're bypassing credit applications. We're bypassing literally everything.
Because it is a nightmare. We got a property last year, and this is how crazy it is. So I don't know if it's like this here, but if you have a company, like I do in Australia, they treat that even worse. So what they really favor is if you just have a good job, good steady paycheck, they favor that. And we're just buying an investment property. It wasn't even that much. Yeah. And they were wanting all this evidence and stuff from us, and they were knocking us back for a month. And I'm like, guys, look in my freaking bank. Yeah. I can buy the house and it's the one next to it in cash if I want. Give me the freaking loan. And it's just a nightmare.
It's the same thing in America. I was a loan officer back in the day. So I was a guy that used to give loans. And I'm sure they did this to you. They go, yeah, you're approved. Your credit's good. This is good. Whatever, you're approved. Then they start going through the process and they keep emailing, hey, we need this, we need this, we need this. You're like, dude, why does anybody go through a bank? Yeah. It makes no sense. And what's cool is we do this with with businesses too.
Okay, so let's say you're firing me up or I'm in your program and I'm learning.
Yeah.
And I'm keen to go and do this. Walk me through the first steps. If I get off this podcast, I'm like, I'm going to go do this.
First step is go find somebody that is buying. Okay. So what I would have you do is link up with me. Because your first deal, I'll call your seller. I'll do the paperwork. I'll buy the property and I'll partner with you on it. We call it the wedge method. So you come to me with just an interested party. Literally, a seller says, yeah, Morgan, I'm interested in selling. What does that look like? And your answer is going to be, I have no idea. So what I do in our program, in our community, is I'll hold your hand and I'll buy the property and give you a percentage of the ownership of the property, and I'll walk you all the way through. Because real estate's not easy. It can be simple, but it's not easy. And I think it's very daunting to have these conversations with sellers. And so the way, we have a live audience, so these are people in my community. We've got Ann from Florida. We've got Pat. You're from Quebec.
Colorado.
He's in Colorado now, but he's a Canadian. You got Tigger, who's in Illinois. Sharon, you're in California. Pedro's from Puerto Rico. Like literally everybody in here is from a different state. Yeah. Our community is 30,000 people strong all over the United States and 29 countries. So what happens is if somebody joins our program, they go find somebody that's one step ahead of them and go, can I partner with you on my first deal? And we just make it super simple, super easy. Our success rate in our community, the average real estate coaching thing, I think the success rate's 4%. Our success rate is hovering somewhere on 89% right now.
So before you go into this, you were on the tools. You were building.
I was building. Yeah.
Same was my old background. And so walk us through a bit of this gap, because everyone sees you now. You're one of the top property education, real estate education companies, businesses in the world, best communities in the world. I just came into your office. There's literally feels like 1,000 people in here doing something everywhere.
Yeah.
Everyone sees this. And then when you told me the other day, you're like, just not longer, I was building houses. I'm like, there's a question mark in the middle there. So walk us through, because the average person is getting into their first deal or their next one and they're just getting started. So what was that first sort of transition for you, especially leaving that world of where everyone's already bought into the dream of this is my career, this is my job, you know what I mean? So walk us through that sort of that transition mentally and physically. What was that like? Okay,
so you and I are really similar in the sense that I wasn't built for college. I wasn't built for that stuff. I just knew in my bones that wasn't a good fit for me. I went to college for a couple of years. It didn't work out for me. But I started swinging a hammer. Why? Because that's what my dad did. My dad was a contractor and he had 12 kids. And so my dad, even though my dad was a CPA in the day, he was a contractor at night. That's how I learned how to make money. So when I was 16, 17, 18, taking girls on dates, I'd say, well, I need a car and I need money to kiss a girl. So where am I going to get that? My dad'd say, paint baseboards, paint the fascia, fix the window, do the thing. And I would just learn. So I went on a church mission to South Korea, learned how to speak Korean and knock thousands of doors. Came home at 21. And what did I do? I got into the trades. So I built a construction company, started out by being a handyman, and I would just run Craigslist ads. And then I would call property management companies and I'd say, hey, do you need somebody to fix the leaky this and the such and such that? I built that up that there was so much demand on me that I had to hire somebody. And then I did that over and over and over. And I got to be one of the largest contractors in not just Arizona, but for all the big hedge funds like BlackRock and some of these big, massive corporations. They hired me to do all their renovations. So I was flying from here to Texas to Vegas, sometimes in the same day, to go visit crews and set up crews for these guys because my company started growing. And then very similar to you, somebody came to you and was like, hey, I got an opportunity for you. So I had a girl, she wasn't a girl, she's 65 at the time. Her name's Bethany. And Bethany comes to me. She was a client of mine. So she hired me she would buy a house. I would do the work. She would sell the house and make $100,000 or $200,000. And I'm making $10,000, $15,000 doing the renovation work, and I'd have my crews on the house. And I had convinced myself I was in real estate. So now I'm 30, right? 30, just working my guts out. And Bethany comes to me and she says, why aren't you in real estate? You show up on time, you communicate well, You hit budgets. Your guys do a good job. Why are you not in real estate? And I'm like, Bethany, I am in real estate. What are you talking about? She goes, no. Pace, I'm in real estate. You are my slave. You do not own your business. And I could replace you with a very simple Google search. I could find another contractor. You don't own shit. I own you. Why don't you buy your own houses and why don't you do your own renovation? I'm going to make 200 grand on this flip. You're going to make 10. And I'm like, why do you care? And she's like, well, because somebody gave me an opportunity 25 years ago. Like, let me show you. And I didn't know at the time, but she was grooming me to find deals for her. She's freaking genius. So what she did is she says, let's sit down, pull open your phone. This is when the iPhone like 3 had come out. Okay. This is now 12 years ago when I first jumped in the game. And I said, but I don't have a license. She goes, you don't need a license to do this stuff. I still don't have a license. I never will get a license. Why? Like to buy. I don't buy and sell real estate. I'm a real estate investor, right? So she goes, you don't need a license. I go, I don't have a lot of money. She goes, you don't need a lot of money. Let me show you the ropes. In my first month with her, I was running my construction company and finding deals for her. I was just finding deals for her. I didn't have to buy anything. I didn't have to come up with any money. I literally just generated leads and I gave them over to her and I made 50 grand in my first month. And I'm like, what the freak have I been doing with my whole life?
How are you getting leads? Is this like you're door knocking, you're calling, you're convincing someone, hey, are you thinking about selling your house? Or
yeah, at the time, I don't do this now because it's very expensive to do it now. But at the time, 12 years ago, I was sending out letters. Hey, I'll buy your house cash.
so just offering like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was like my first call I ever got. I'll tell you my first call. This is how little I knew about real estate 12 years ago. I'm a contractor. And so this is what Bethany told me. She goes, okay, you need to get 2 phones. Your phone that you use your construction on, and then your phone that your leads are going to come to you on. These are the most important calls on the planet because you're spending money on letters. You're going to have these leads come in and you need to go and visit their house. So one day I spend the money on the lead. She told me exactly what to do. And I start getting these phone calls coming in. And I was so afraid to answer them that I just was like, I'll call him back later. So I go home that night. My wife calls me out on my BS. She's like, hey, how are your leads going? Are you getting any leads? And I'm like, well, yeah, but I'm going to call him back tomorrow. She's like, no, you're call them right now. What are you doing? And right when I went to call the 2 calls I missed and I avoided that day, I went to call them back. It was like 8:00 at night. I got my 3rd lead that came in and I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do? I mean, that's how afraid I was. I answer the phone. I'm talking to the lady. Her name's Janie. And I said, hi. She's like, hi, is this Pace, the guy that buys houses? I'm like, yeah,
I think so.
And she's like, okay, is it too late? Is now a good time? Oh, no, now's a good time. Long story short, I had to go on the other line and call Bethany and go, what do I do? I have this lady that wants to set an appointment and see her house. She's like, she called me an asshole. Okay. Like, you ask so many questions, you become an asshole. Like, you're an asshole. And she said, just set the gosh damn appointment. Go meet with the lady. What are you doing? And I'm like, I don't know the price. I don't know the paperwork. She's like, shut your mouth and do the work. I was like, okay. So I get back on the line. I set the appointment. I go meet with the lady. And basically that lead, Bethany helped me close it. Bethany helped me get the deal done. Honestly, it's probably one of my most famous stories I tell people is how I got that deal done. And it taught me everything I needed to know about real estate from that one deal. On the way up there, I was driving to the house the next day, Janie's house. I called Bethany and I said, hey, I don't know what to offer this lady. Bethany looks at it. She goes, oh, I'm looking online. Give her 150, no more than 150,000. I'm like, okay. I'm thinking, how the hell do you even know this? Like, from a freaking computer screen, how do you know this stuff, right? So I get up to the house. I get to talking to Janie. I know how to build rapport. I'd been in sales. I did construction estimates my whole life. So I knew how to talk to people. I got into the kitchen, started building that rapport. And I looked on her kitchen counter and it was a bunch of business cards and letters from other investors, like literally 20 or 30. And I asked Janie, I said, why am I here? You have all these other people that are reaching out to you. Why am I here? Why did you call me? And the question I asked her specifically, which is what I teach my members, is I said, what is keeping you from selling the house? Why haven't you sold it to these other people? And she says, well, I'm a retiring school teacher, distress. My house, I've never been able to have enough money to renovate my house. I've been here for 40 years. I'm about to retire, move to Oregon and live with my sister. And I need every dollar I can possibly get. This is my nest egg. I need 165. Or she goes, I have an offer at 165, but I need more. What's my problem?
You're going for 150.
Right. What the hell do I know about talking some lady who's also a school teacher? What business do I have talking this lady $15,000 down that's taking money out of her retirement, right? So I told Janie, I said, I don't think I can help you. I'm so sorry. I don't think I can help you. You have a good offer. She thought I was manipulating her. She actually called me out on it. She's like, you're anchoring me, she said. I didn't even know what anchoring meant at 30. She says, you're anchoring me. This is bullshit. Just give me the number. Just tell me the number. I was like, Janie, I'm not going to offend you. I think I should just leave. She's like, fine. So she's walking me to her front door. And as I'm in her front doorway, I'm like, you know what? I'm a contractor. I'm a good dude. I'm not going to leave this lady's house. She's a single woman. She's a retiring school teacher. She's in her 60s. She needs a little bit of help, I'm sure. So I said, hey, Janie, is there anything I can do to help you? I've got crews. I can help load trucks. I can move your refrigerator. I can pack boxes. Like, what do you need? Do you have any holes in the walls that need to be fixed? Maybe the guy that's offering 165 needs you to fix some stuff. I'm happy to help you out. And she's like, what are you, a Boy Scout? And I was like, I am a Boy Scout. My parents wouldn't let me get a driver's license without my Eagle Scout. So I am a Boy Scout. She's like, okay, you're freaking weird. Do you want to know what my problem is? I go, yeah. And now I'm like, that's kind of weird. And she says, I do have a significant problem that's kept me from selling the house. I go, okay, cool. What is it? She takes me to her backyard and she shows me 3 bunnies are like this size. They're called Flemish bunnies. And it turns out her granddaughter won them at like a carnival. And she brought them home. The bunnies were like this big. And they turned out to be these massive size bunnies that you can only find in Norway.
You say like bunnies, like an animal?
Literally bunnies.
Like a rabbit?
A rabbit.
That big?
That big. It looked like, I thought she was playing a prank. I walked
up. A photo of that on your iPhone 3?
Well, yeah, I have all the photos from this first interaction. So what happens is I'm sitting there. This is my first appointment. And 30 minutes, I'm in this lady's backyard. She's talking to me about her bunnies. She says they cost me about $600 a month in medication, food, blah, blah, blah. I can't afford to keep these bunnies, and I need to find a good home that'll take them that's not going to turn them into like a soup. And so I go, okay, no problem. So I call my mom. I'm a 30-year-old man calling my mom. And I go, hey, Mom, Janie, bunnies, need help, da-da-da. 45 minutes later, my mom's at the house taking the bunnies, loading them up in the truck, and takes the bunnies, and my mom gives them to somebody in her church. Janie's sitting there crying like, you're not going to offer me anything on my house? I go, no, Janie, I told you I just want to help you out. Let me know how it goes. If you need anything else, let me know. 2 weeks later, she calls me up and she says, Pace, today's the day I'm selling my house. I was like, hell yeah. Who'd you sell it to? She says, I'm selling it to you. What? Janie, I didn't even give you a number. She says, Pace, I met with 15 people before you and 15 people after you. You were the only one that actually asked me if I needed help. And more importantly, it's been 2 weeks since you took my bunnies. You've never called me to manipulate me and force me into a lower offer. You actually are a man of your word. Whatever your offer is, I'm going to trust you and we're going to move forward. I'm like, so I go, can I call Bethany and see what my next step is? I had no clue. So I call Bethany and I go, this is what happened. And Bethany's like, pick me up. Let's go over to the house. So I took Bethany there. She filled out the paperwork and Janie's crying. Thank you so much for helping me. You just took this big burden off of me. Bethany and I leave the appointment. We're sitting in my truck. And Bethany says, you don't realize how important this lesson was for you. It is by far the most important lesson you'll ever learn. And I said, what? She says, find the seller's bunnies in every appointment. It's never about the house. It's never about the price. It's always the 3Ds.
Like the hidden objective.
Yeah. She's like, everybody else got into her living room. You got to her backyard. You cared about her. You loved on her. You did what your scouting taught you. You did what your mom taught you. You actually went out of your way to help her. And what's cool is all of the people in our live audience that are doing deals, that's what we do all day long. We literally just look for people's bunnies. And so my logo,
That's what it
it's
is.
bunny ears.
Ah, okay.
So people, like, the name of my community is called Sub 2, but really it's a double meaning. It's the bunny ears. Look for the bunnies.
Yeah.
Look for the problem. Look for the distress.
Yeah, I love that. So that whole story, I can just hear like you're a sort of person who looks for opportunities, not obstacles.
Right.
And the other day when you interviewed me on your podcast, we spent a lot, because my whole thing's mindset and helping people
So good.
go over that shit, right? And we spent a lot of time talking about how you have about 81% of people, I think you said, in your community that are crushing and getting deals,
Yeah.
but there's still that 19% of people who are scared, who don't. And so if I was to guess, I would say 81% of people are actually looking for bunnies and looking for opportunities. So even when you didn't get the deal, you just actually were, how can I just help this person?
Right.
Even though it wasn't a motive for you, you just actually wanted to help. But I know a lot of people, before they even pick up that phone call, before they do their first deal, they're in their head. So why do you think the 19% of people are afraid? Or like, it sounds like what you've laid out is like a cake recipe. It's like step 1, this, step 2, this. If you do it, it's going to work. So why do you think there's still some people who just don't?
You know, that's why I really loved our time together yesterday, is because I was actually asking that of you. And I'm like, as a mindset expert and somebody who's, deep diving into their people's amygdalas and what's keeping people from taking action. And, this saber-toothed tiger is going to attack me if I leave the cave mentality. I believe it's something, there's got to be trauma from the past. There's got to be a fear of success. There's got to be a self-worth issue of my identity says that I'm not supposed to be successful. Everybody in my life has told me X, Y, and Z. So even when you give somebody the greatest opportunity, you hand it to them. Here's the greatest opportunity. Here's my hand, grab it. There's something I believe, I don't know, right? I think you know more about this than I do. I'm built in a way that, and my parents raised me in a way, and my environment raised me in a way. My parents moved me 26 times before I turned 19. I lived in Korea as a missionary. I knocked over 75,000 doors selling Jesus in Korean. My life is a breeze compared to that.
Yeah.
So like other people, I think also another potential, and you tell me I'm wrong, I think also the level of comfort, they've found this level of comfort of like, they're avoiding the pain of growth, and they're like in this pocket, this comfort pocket. And so if you reach down to them, they go, hey, come up here. It's going to require you to learn new things and feel overwhelmed and feel such and such and such. But I got you, kind of like jumping out of an airplane, probably for the first time. I got you. I'm on your back. Don't worry about it. They still have that pit in their stomach, like, oh my gosh. And so sometimes I just got to force them. What do you think it is? I mean, you have people that you're teaching too, that you're just like,
Yeah, I think you sort of hit just then. And I think we talked about this the other day. I told you about that experiment they did with the monkeys in the cage.
yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. 'Cause you get a whole group of monkeys who have been denied their bananas, their opportunities for their whole life, for generations. And if you took one out and you put them into a new cage where everyone's eating, okay, so let's take somebody who's, been suppressed their whole life and they're scared and they're enjoying comfort and whatever. But they have the desire, say, watch you online and they're like, I want to do a piece of them. So they jump out of their cage that they've been denied opportunities forever, where that's what their body's conditioned for. We put them into a new cage where all of you guys are doing it, and they're like, this feels scary. I don't know why, but it feels scary. And so what I know people need to do is actually just hang in there longer, because eventually it's going to start to feel comfortable and it's going to start to feel great. It took me a few years, but it still makes me rip my hair out at night sometimes just to think, like, see how many people do give up.
Yeah.
It's sad. I wish they stayed in longer. That's what I love that you do, because you're like, so people join your program and they're just with you for life.
Yeah. I mean, if you look right here, there's a photo down here on the lower part.
Yep.
There, you'll see 400 people on the top of a mountain in Montana. We do everything together. I was in Charlotte, North Carolina yesterday, did a 400-person meetup. We have a big meetup tomorrow. People are flying in from all over the country. We become friends with everybody because, again, the longer you're in, the more comfortable you are watching people eat those bananas. And you go, wait, finally they wake up. I've seen the recipe.
Yeah.
The recipe is, in the beginning, they resist. And if they stick around because they have a friend, that is the key element.
Yeah.
If they have a friend, Facebook did this really interesting study. They said if somebody joins Facebook and they get 7 friend requests in their first day, they never leave. If somebody joins Facebook, same features, same things, same news feed, same data coming through, same entertainment level, all that kind of stuff, but they don't get 7 friends in their first day, the chances of them staying on the platform is almost 0.
Mm.
And it's just that connection of like, I need a friend that keeps me around. I need to have a human connection. And so I think that in the future of AI, and I think in the future of robots and all these things, the human element will thrive for people that, like myself, people like you, that do in-person events and let people, your molecules vibrate around my molecules. If you're allowing people to be in that proximity rather than only on Zoom and only on YouTube and only on those things, and you let them in the cage with you where the monkeys are eating the bananas, I think that is the best thing that I can do. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a therapist. I don't know these things, but I do know friendships. And I know that I'm more willing to do things because my friend's doing it. The reason why I skydove, I know you're a big, did you go skydiving?
Yesterday, 2 times.
Yeah. See, dude, different level. But I told you a couple of days ago, I went skydiving for the first time with a bunch of my friends, people in the community, and our big community. I'm in Tampa. And I'm like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. My body's saying, I'm Googling death rates. What's the stats? What's the worst?
It's not high though, is it? Death rates skydiving, it's not as high as you think.
No, it's actually incredibly low.
Yeah. And the only people who usually die are professionals because they take it as an extreme. The people who die tandem, I couldn't tell you one. I'm sure there has been some.
There's got to be some, but I'm reading the stats. I'm like, okay, so I'm more likely to die in a car crash. I'm like logicking myself into this. So I get there. I'm at the place. This shit's getting real fast. Like you can hear the hum of the airplanes. Bro, what? That's the scariest thing ever. You can almost feel the vibration of the plane 100 yards away from you. Like, oh my gosh. But what helped me was I watched one of our community members. She's 81. And I see her, she was in the group before me, and she jumps out, and I see this little 81-year-old lady floating down. And I'm like, bro, what am I afraid of? An 81-year-old lady had no fear. And so I get up there, and I had to convince myself, this is how I got over it. She gave me permission. It wasn't the logic. It wasn't the stats. It wasn't the system. It wasn't even the trainer, the guy. It wasn't all of the things I read while I was driving there. It was getting permission from somebody in my tribe, right? Because we're our mammalian brain. Okay, the other mammal's fine, so I can do this too. So what I did is I convinced myself that my emotions were controlled by a faucet in my stomach, and I mentally came up with a picture of cranking the faucet so tight that no emotion could come out. So as I'm flying up in the plane, the guy's on my back. He's talking to me. Dude, are you good? Are you all right? I'm like, I'm feeling zero emotion right now. And I'm like, in my mind, I have this faucet. I'm cranking. And I jump out of the plane and I get all the way down to the bottom. I didn't feel a single emotion, which is not what I wanted.
You hypnotize yourself.
I hypnotize myself.
Yeah, because I'll do that with people if I put them in trance. I'll create some sort of internal representation inside their body. Something like that. So I'll steal that one actually. Sounds like completely other. I'm like, imagine there's a faucet. So I'll take people into a control room. Where if I put them in trance, I'll walk them into a control room, whatever their problem is. Like say, I want to be more confident. We'll walk in. What's the meter? Whatever you had it set to. Like, I'm only a 2. Oh, well, let's crank it up a bit. Put to a 4. No, put to a 6, 8. Let's put to a 10. Let's just, if you're ever too confident, your life's too great, you come back, we can turn them down. But let's just see.
Yeah, but I could not have gotten there unless I saw the 82-year-old lady floating out of the plane. I had to watch a peer do the thing. And it wasn't a YouTube video. It wasn't watching somebody else. It was literally somebody I knew.
Yeah.
And so I imagine it's the same thing with your tribe too, is like the people that are, you just got to keep them in long enough so they can, get used to the environment.
One of my mentors said to me once, he lives out here somewhere, he's a little bit norther. He's 96. He's done about $150 million in network marketing. So it was my first business I started in. And back when I was starting and I sucked at it, I'd meet him. I'd come to America and I'd meet him. And I'm like, Jimmy, tell me like, what's the secret? Because we also want to know that one thing that we haven't done yet, apparently. And he's like, and of course he could have told me that there's no secret, but he said, the secret is this, be here a year from now. And that was it. And he's like, even if it's still not working.
You mean alive?
come to like be in the community.
Oh, in the business.
Yeah. So he's like, just be here a year from now. So he's like, at the next event we run here, I want to see you again. And that's, I just remember that's every single year I'd come back and I'm like, Jimmy, I'm here again. He's like, oh, I'm good. You know what you got to do next year? Yeah, I'll be here again. I kept doing that. My 4th year, I was at backstage. We were going on stage together to get accepted in an award together. Right. And then so like, but that was just my
thing. That it actually is the secret.
Yeah. Because eventually it will just sort of drown out, and you'll, you know, based off what we were talking about the other day with the Ash experiment, the 4 lines on the board, eventually you'll start to just believe the tribe. Okay, shit, maybe I can do this. So based off our past conditioning will determine how long it could take us.
Yeah, I think my favorite Instagram post that you have was the 4 lines.
Yeah.
It is mind-boggling that actually happens.
Yeah. There's actually another, you want to hear another crazy one? I forget what they called this one. But they put, just to show that we do what others around us are doing. If the fire alarm went off in this building right now, what do you think people would do?
Lose their mind.
And they'd probably like go, okay, where do we leave the doing? But let's say we're in a room with like 20 people right now. If the fire alarm went off, but me and you completely ignored it, eventually some of these people would also be like, okay, and they'll start to ignore it. What they've shown is that, so eventually if there's fire, like we could all die. But if we completely ignore it, one by one, people start to join in with also ignoring it. And then once we've got enough of the tribe, everyone just gives up. And then they want to test it again. They're like, okay, maybe it's just a noise. Let's put smoke in the room. So they're in a room like this, and then there's a door in the corner. Then they start letting smoke just come out, right? And they were all told, like, just go in there. The examination will start soon. And the teacher came in and he was talking, and the smoke just starts coming out through the door. And you can see that people start to like, what the hell? But the guy just continues. And because he was the authority and he was part of the tribe, he was the tribe leader, they just one by one, they're like, eh. And when
he went bothered by it,
they started to look at each other like, and the other people, no, there was actors in the room. That's what it was. They did lots of different experiments in this, and they noticed that if they had the authority there and he wasn't faced, they eventually were like, what the hell? Okay, we'll stay. But then they put a group of people, one of them was real and the rest were actors, and the actors completely ignored it. So the actors was like, yeah, and one person was like, and everyone just ignored it. And eventually the person, they just sat there and voluntarily would have killed themselves because other people were also killing themselves. So there's been so many studies, like, could someone commit murder? They've showed yes. Could somebody voluntarily kill themselves? Yes. Based off what people around them are doing.
This is like that. Maybe you've seen these. People will put a blanket over a little kid in like a family room. So there's a bunch of family members there. And then one of the family members tells the little kid, hey, maybe it's like a teenager, I'm learning magic. I'm going to make you disappear. So they put a blanket over the little kid and they tell everybody in the room to pretend like they can't see the kid.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever seen this? To the point where they take the blanket off and everybody's like, oh my God, where did Elizabeth go? And Elizabeth is now walking around the room, like touching people and like whatever else. And everybody has to act like she's not there. It's so interesting. Just having the tribe believe that you're invincible or invisible. A little kid will be like, they can't see me because of the way other people will be at. That is crazy.
Yeah. It's a very fascinating thing. So like I've spent my life, the last like over a decade now, just trying to understand why we do what we do. Because I just see so many people that sabotage or doubt, or so that's why I like what you did when you told me the other day, like, yeah, people pay one time and they stay forever. I'm like, that's what I need. Just they gotta stay here. So make it a commitment. It's like commit to be here a year from now. Or
other people, I'm gonna take that phrase from you. What happens is like other real estate educators will charge a chunk of money every 6 months.
They're teaching something that we don't know yet, or
100%. And what'll happen is people will go, so I got to pay to stay in every 6 months or monthly or whatever else. And I'm like, what you're doing is you're taking the people that you've trained and you're kicking them out when they're the people that will actually collaborate with the new people that come in and help out and build the community together. And the beautiful part about real estate, not every industry is like this, but the beautiful part about real estate is that we can all make money together on one transaction. You can see 5, 7, 10 people. So the more people that stay in, the more money people make. Everybody in this room's made money with somebody else in the community. It's not like it's a solo sport. It's a team sport. So I watch other real estate educators. I'm like, no wonder your success rate is so low. Your people have not even had enough time to acclimate to a new successful environment. And now you're rejecting them. Think about what that does to the mammalian part of their brain of like, I'm no longer accepted by the tribe. And so it's crazy. I think it even causes probably trauma for people. Like, I wasn't accepted. This wasn't built. I wasn't built for this. Meanwhile, we have people in the community that they join 3 years later, they get their first deal.
Yeah.
They go through a divorce, something bad happens at work, but then one day they remember like, oh, I'm part of that community. They see me online or they see I'm doing a meetup. Like there was a lady I was in Charlotte yesterday speaking, and I go to the meetup at nighttime with all of our community, and this lady comes up to me. She goes, I just want to see if you remember me. And I go, yeah, Debbie, I do remember you. 3 years ago, I saw you in Raleigh, North Carolina at a book signing. I signed your book and I wrote in your book that you're going to do a deal. And she says, yeah, I left. I had a divorce. I had been out of the community for 2.5 years. I just want to let you know I came back 6 months ago, and I've gotten 3 deals now because people have helped me. And I'm like, that's why we built the community, is that you can always come back. You're always here. And she's like, the cool part is now I'm helping somebody else do their first deal right now. And so you just got to build things differently. And it is I feel like it's against the norm of what most educators will do. And there's educators that don't like that I do it because I disrupted the model. The model is like, no, find out more ways to charge them more money to keep them into the thing. I'm like, how about you just make money with them by doing real estate deals? In 2023, about $100 million in real estate from people in the community. By far, that is the way I should be making money, not by selling a thing or whatever else. Now, I want people to commit, right? There's it's a powerful thing for people to commit. You know, they join your tribe, they join my community, whatever. There's a financial commitment that they commit to themselves. There's power in that. Plus they filter themselves, right? But overwhelmingly, I think that has got to be it, is just that there's that 18% of people that just need to be here next year.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. Okay. So for the person watching this, listening to this, that is like, okay, I'm committed. I want to make my wealth in real estate. Can you lay it out for us? The blueprint, what do I do, where they start in like the snippet of it. Give us the blueprint.
There's 51 different ways to make money in real estate. There's so many ways to make money, so I won't go through all of them. What I would do is I would go to my YouTube channel, and there's a video I have that's start here. And it tells you exactly what to do step by step by step. But essentially what it is find the person you want to do a deal with before you try and do a deal. That's step one. So again, it's like, get into the right monkey cage, get into the cage of people that are, or the, people that are successful, right environment. Right. And that's your framework of your book that's coming out, right? So you got your vision is your number one. Like, I want to do it. Number two is environment, right? Environment, same thing. Before you've even really taken any action, you've got a vision and you get in the right environment. His book hasn't come out yet, guys, but it's coming. So that's really it. It's, do you have a vision? You want to have financial freedom. The part of the vision I try and get people to is, what is the monthly amount of money that you could just say F everything? You could say no to everything. What is that dollar amount? Be realistic. Don't say $500 million a month. That's crazy. But what is the amount of money you wouldn't have to work ever again? 20 grand a month, 30 grand a month, 40 grand a month, whatever that is. Okay, great. Paint the vision. When do you want it done by? Cool. Second thing is, get into the environment with people that are doing that. And then the third thing is ask that person that you're hanging out with, what value can I bring to you? For me and Bethany, it was, Pace, bring me a lead. The first house I did, that one with Janie Munson, I made 25 grand just finding the lead for her. She did the paperwork. She bought the house. She did the thing. I got a check for $25,000 just for finding the deal. So it's the same thing. Get around the person that you can find the deals for. They'll take the rest from there. You'll get paid a fee, and you'll earn and learn simultaneously. What I see everybody else do is they'll sit there and learn, YouTube, book, seminar. They've not earned $1 throughout the entire process. I would say, screw all courses in real estate. Get into a community of people that are actually doing deals and say, hey, can I bring you something? Like if I went to Patrick and Michelle, they'd say, bring me an RV park. Here's what that looks like. Go do this. And I'd go bring them a lead and they'd help me walk all the way through it. They literally would take off 99% of the pressure. Same thing with me. I'm buying $4 million in RV parks this month, and somebody just brought me a seller that says, I'd be interested in having a conversation. That's as far as that new person took it.
Yeah.
That's it. It's kind of like if you're skydiving, put on the backpack,
Yeah.
put on the chute, put on your eyeglasses. I will take care of the rest. That is literally all you have to do. So vision and environment, those are the first two things I do.
I love it, man. So where can everybody actually find you and check out everything you do and be part of this wicked community of people as well?
I would just check out my YouTube channel. I'd absorb that, spend a couple of hours watching, me doing the business live and me touring properties and telling you the story of how I bought those properties. And if you have any questions, just DM me on Instagram. I answer all my own DMs, and happy to give you some resources and some guides that kind of tell you some steps. Also, if you're watching this, I can connect you with somebody in my community wherever you guys live. If you're in New York, I'll connect you with somebody in New York. If you're in Florida, I'll connect you with somebody in Florida, give you a little bit more boots on the ground experience so you guys can go collaborate with those people.
I love it, man. All right, to wrap this up, I have a final question for you.
Yeah.
So if you were to go back to your 18-year-old self and give him 30 seconds of advice, what would it be?
Environment, everything. This is a funnel question? Oh, final
question. Yeah.
It's always the same thing. In my 20s, I wasted all my time hanging out with contractors, similar to you. I never drank. I've never smoked. I've never partied, but I hung out with a lot of blue collar guys that thought being blue collar and working your guts out, there was a sense of pride in that.
Mm-hmm.
And there is to a certain degree, but you have to scale past that. And the second I got around Bethany, I had permission to think a different way. No book, no seminar, no course, no nothing I've ever been around or paid for or absorbed was more powerful than being around the right people. And that's daunting when you're new. It took me till I was 30 to get that opportunity. And the reality is I did not seek that out. Somebody gave me an opportunity. If I could have gone back to 21, I get home from Korea, I did a telemarketing job, a cold calling job. I did all these things that just weren't a good fit. I wish I just went and worked with a real estate investor and said, how can I provide value to you and be in your environment? I'd be worth an extra $100 million.